Hello my friends, I'm Rich Larson and I'm the IRC Tire Guy. Today we'll be breaking down the importance of your front and rear brake control and some different maneuvers you can do with your brakes to give you an advantage in all riding situations. I've mentioned countless times on this channel your ability to maneuver your machine efficiently with very little energy in any direction is imperative for your success in any riding situation. That doesn't just mean moving. That also means slowing down and stopping. The more understanding you have of the subtleties of your brakes, the more prepared and better off you're going to be, especially in those sketchy situations. That means not just having an on-off mentality when approaching any riding situation that involves the use of your brakes. It's very common for riders to only know full on-off pressure on the brakes, especially when it comes to using the rear brake. This is an absolute problem that can get you into a lot of trouble. Imagine only being able to hold your throttle wide open or completely off. If you don't have the ability to feather drag and control the pressure on your brakes, it's really the exact same thing, and it can get you into some serious problems like killing your machine, sliding out, and even having too much speed. That's right. Not having the ability to feather and control your brakes can actually make you go faster, but not in a good way. It's a common occurrence for riders to completely pull in their clutch when using their rear brake. The problem with this is it's actually eliminating one of the forms of braking on your machine. We're talking about engine braking. Whether you're on a 2-stroke, a 4-stroke, entering a corner on a motocross track, or riding a downhill in a hard enduro situation, slowing using the engine's RPMs still applies. When the clutch is completely in, that causes the engine to freewheel. Now that the engine is freewheeling, it increases the likelihood of your rear tire locking up because you don't have the added rotational inertia of the engaged engine and drivetrain. I like to think when you can efficiently use all three forms of braking available on your machine, front brake, rear brake, and engine braking together, it's kind of like having an anti-lock brake system created by you. When your rear tire locks up, you're actually sliding, which is not the most efficient form of stopping. You can actually stop much faster using a mixture of all three forms. Practice this by accelerating to a stationary point you've set up in a level open area. As soon as your front tire crosses that stationary point, practice applying the rear brake without the clutch in. Your goal is to find the maximum amount of braking you can apply to the rear brake without stalling your machine. Practice this focusing on your rear brake first. Then, as you improve, add the addition of your front brake. Again, as you add the front brake, your goal is to have the maximum pressure without locking up the wheel. A great way to practice using all three forms of braking and understanding if you're applying it correctly is to listen to the sound your machine makes when you brake without pulling in the clutch. You can actually hear your machine transfer back and forth between engine braking and rear brake. The sound is almost like a rattling. That's how you can tell your rear tire is not completely locking up. The most challenging part, especially to someone just learning this technique, is keeping the bike from stalling. This is all about a steady application of the rear brake. Of course, stabbing the rear brake is going to cause the machine to stall when the clutch isn't pulled in. Learning how to apply just the right amount of brake is very similar to learning how to apply just the right amount of throttle and clutch when first learning how to ride a motorcycle. Really, it all takes practice and a willingness to learn. Now, some tips I can add to help find just the right amount of rear brake to apply is practice this in standing attack position first. When you're in standing position, you have a finer control of the rear brake. The reason for this is when standing, your ankles are directly below your knees. When seated, your knees are now in front of your ankles, reducing the range of motion with your foot. It's Also beneficial to practice in a standing position to learn how to counteract the forward stopping inertia when braking. Notice my body position and how when under heavy braking from all three forms together, I transfer my weight from centered to over the rear tire. You shouldn't feel a heavy strain on your arms when under heavy braking. I'm squeezing with my knees and adjusting my weight accordingly. In fact, you should be able to even practice this one-handed, showing that you've mastered adjusting your body to adapt to what your machine is doing. I also advocate practicing this with a transfer from the balls of your feet on the pegs forward to the rear brake and back again. You always want to have that ability to find the rear brake, then transfer it back to the most efficient riding position, which is on your toes. Another helpful tip is adjusting the rear brake to engage in a comfortable position. I see a lot of guys with their rear brake adjustment way too low in relation to their peg. My rear brake is fully engaged when pressing it just past level with my peg. You also don't want it to be adjusted too high because you could accidentally press it in that transition forward from the balls of your feet to the brake. These are all basic things you want to work on, practice, and master to help you tackle those different riding situations. In an upcoming episode, we'll be working on some more advanced braking techniques you can apply to hard enduro situations. That will really help you with the increased control as well as energy saving aspects. So if you're enjoying the content we're putting out, please share this video and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as follow us on Instagram at IRC Moto and my personal Instagram page at RichLarson511. And until next time, keep shredding.